Good afternoon, everyone. So, TVO pushing gender parity. Yay! I've been meaning to do a video about this for a while because I listened to Jordan Peterson a lot, and he's very interesting. Super interesting ideas if you're interested in ideas. His are some of the most interesting I've come across. So, but TVO, here's their tweet. Quote, 2 of the 36 mayoral candidates in Northern Ontario's 5 largest cities, Thunder Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, Sudbury, and North Bay, are women. At Claude Sharma on the gender parity problem in Northern Ontario local politics. And here we go to the link. So TVO, quote, why Northern Ontario politics has a gender parity problem. They're going to answer that, really? Just 2 of the 36 mayoral candidates in the region's 5 largest cities are women. And while things are changing, some say they're changing too slowly. Okay, so the last 2 provincial elections saw significant increases in the number of women running for office, and this year both NDP and Greens fielded more female candidates than male, but gender parity has proven more elusive at the local level. Just 27% of candidates registered to run in the 28 municipal elections are women. However, the article goes on to say, while there are some municipalities in the north whose electoral slates feature, according to AMO data, more female candidates than male, just 2 of the 36 mayoral candidates in the region's 5 largest cities were female. So we'll ignore these stats that disprove our argument and just take these 5 largest cities, because you know they're the largest cities and they matter, right? And measure them. And if you just take those cities, they prove our point. It sounds kind of like global warming. All right, so where do all the women go? Where do all the women go? Why don't women want to be in politics and in power? Where do they leave to? How come women aren't flocking to politics and the board office in their late 50s and early 60s? Why aren't they wanting to run things? What's going on? The person who can explain it, Jordan Peterson.
Their women are very good in high school, then they go to college, they're very good in college, they nail their damn grades, they do their studying, they get their A's and they ace their LSAT, so they're smart too. Then they go off to do their articling and they're really, really good at it. And then they get offered an associate position and they're really, really good at it, and then by the time they're 30 they make partner, and let's say they're in high pressure, high paying jobs, $250,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $500 an hour. Okay, what's your life like? You work all the time, period. 70 hours a week, 75 hours a week, flat out, and you don't get to make any mistakes. And if your client calls you at 3 in the morning on Sunday, you say, I'm really glad to hear from you, because if you don't, there's some hot law firm in New York that'll take your client from you at a moment's notice. And the client is paying you, whatever, the firm, $750 an hour, of which maybe you get $350, and what they want is an answer about something really complicated right bloody now. And you can say all you want about the fact that women have a difficult time with that because it's a male-dominant patriarchy. Any female lawyer who's hit 30 and is a partner that has any sense at all knows that's complete bloody rubbish. It's market determined right to the core. What happens to the women when they're in their 30s? They all leave the high-end law firms. Why? Because who in their right mind would want to live like that? That's the issue, right? Once you make about $60,000 a year for your family, but let's say for you personally, additional income has zero impact on your quality of life. Zero. So why work 80 hours a week? Well, men will do it, some men, very few. A handful of hyper-competitive men who are obsessed with hitting the pinnacle of the given dominance hierarchy they're in will happily work 80 hours a week, and they'll forego everything else. Relationships, family, children, way in the second category. And so those men are often very difficult to live with too, because they're so obsessed with their career. It's hard to have a relationship with them. And maybe they don't have much of a relationship with their kids, but they're damn good at what they do. And part of that is they're smart and disciplined, and they'll work non-stop all the time. It's like an obsession. And that's the sort of people who run things. Those are the people who run things. Well, they're often also disagreeable too, because you want to manage people? Really? They're not going to like you. You know, and it's not an easy thing to not be liked. And actually, if you're an agreeable person, and women are more agreeable than men, it's quite painful to be disliked. But if you're in a managerial and executive position, the probability that people are going to like you is quite low. Now, if you're a real son of...
Okay, and I'm going to leave him there because he can go on, and it's really interesting. You should really watch it and check out the Maps of Meaning lectures. That's what this is from, because it really expands on the themes and the theories of what he's explaining. But the short version is essentially this. One, men are more disagreeable than women. There are differences, vast differences between men and women. And if you don't think I believe that, then you haven't been watching my channel. But men and women are different. And I don't mean that in a bad way, just in a different way. Men are different than women. Men are taller, men are stronger, men have more muscle mass, women have babies, men don't. There are differences. It's plain to see, right? And men are more disagreeable than women. And so Men also don't have children and have to take 3 or 4 years out of raising children, or out of their career to raise a child. So there is a motherhood difference, but it's not a female difference necessarily, because at this point in time, women can choose to have children or not, and women are choosing to not have children or not. But my point is not necessarily about children and women having them. It's about if you start at 20 years old and you're a disagreeable, obsessive son of a bitch who doesn't mind having people dislike him, you're going to be a manager really fast. And you're going to have the entire amount of time between being 20 years old and an idiot, because 20 people who are 20 years old do not have enough experience in the world to be worldly yet, right? You're going to start in your job and you're going to do what you're told, and you're going to follow the path that is being laid out for you cumulatively with somebody, right? But you don't have to take time out to have kids, and you're not biologically inclined to want to look after those children, right? Women have a biological clock. It ticks down, it tells them that they want to have kids. And when they have kids, I have children and a wife, so they want to look after their kids, right? Women want to look after their kids. It's biologically built into you. So once you have children, your priorities shift. And that's where the women go. Gender parity has nothing to do with discrimination or barriers to entry, other than choices in your life. And okay, you can choose not to have children, but listen to what Mr. Peterson says about not having children. That's another clip, and that's another video too. I'm not going to get into that. And I mean, let me be very clear here. I mean no disrespect towards women or men. I believe both genders have equal and valid necessity in our world. We're both needed, right? We need women and we need men, and we need them to do different things. And that's not a bad thing. Screaming and yelling about gender parity in absolutely everything is insanity. It just is. It seems like dog whistle politics. It seems like, let's find another problem that isn't refugees we're importing are murdering and sexually assaulting Canadians. Let's find another problem to report on. That's what this seems like, TVO. So where did the women go? The women got smart and started hanging out with their families. That's it, man. That's it. That's the answer. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.